minute, Jack. This is a friendly celebration.
I don't much like the way you celebrate.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we are on the air with 4 Men in America. We welcome everybody tonight, and we've got Ken, Paul, Zack, and Jeff on with Don, and we'll get started tonight with, I haven't seen you guys for, it's been about 3 weeks since our last show, so I thought it'd be a good thing tonight to start with your new rants. So whoever wants to go first, some of the things that have gone on in the news since we last met. Of course, Trump had his Alaska meeting with President Putin in Alaska with the Russian president. Then he had a summit in D.C. with the EU members and Zelensky. And the law and order reign has come to forth in D.C. now. And I hear that's going well. We had a truck driver in Florida that had an illegal CDL license issued in California, killed 3 people in Florida, and we sent our lieutenant governor there today to pick him up and bring him back to Florida with some law enforcement people to get him punished good. And we had redistricting going on in Texas, which the left had a hissy fit about, and any other local or state things that you guys would like to bring up in your rants, and please go ahead, whoever wants to go first.
Well, I'm going to start because I've got a positive rant.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
An appellate court reversed the lower court that Ergonon. Oh gosh, I almost said the bad word. And Letitia James' $500 million fine. The appellate court reversed it and said it's unconstitutional. And I didn't quite catch whether they're sending it back to the lower court or they just said forget it because it's not working. Of course, Letitia James is now under the microscope for the same crime she tried to destroy Trump with. So she's going to be looking over her shoulder now for a while, and of course has got Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff as the president refers to him, is looking at the same problem. He's got some mortgage, some primary residence issues as to which one is which, and whether he had how he could manage to have 2 of them and get favorable loan rates by not telling the truth, as it were.
Along with leaking classified information.
Oh yeah, I hope they nail him on that one too.
I hear that. Did you hear that Schiff started a GoFundMe to pay for his legal bills?
Yeah, I hope nobody. Well, it'll be funny. I kind of hope a lot of people put their money in there and they don't have anything for the election.
There you go. Yeah.
And they
Okay.
convict him anyway.
So how much was that money that they released for Trump? It was over $500 million, right?
515 million, according to what I read. It's
Okay.
375,000 plus interest and penalties.
Yeah.
So it ended up being 515 million.
Good. Very good. So who would like to step up here? Who's next? Next.
All right. Well, I'll say I haven't been on for a while.
Go ahead,
Actually,
Jeff.
I could have a very long rant. I want to be mostly positive, but I've got a main point, but I want to comment briefly on a couple things. You hear some of the left disparaging Trump about his meeting with Putin, and to me, it's just amazing how nitpicky they want to be in criticizing rather than supporting the efforts of our executive to bring peace. And, anybody who's a student of world history understands that you've got to have dialogue with the opposing side, even if they are evil, even if they are murderers. You can't sit down and be nasty to them. The leaders of world powers, or even Genghis Khan, if you were going to work with him, you'd have to sit down and try to negotiate and work it out. So that disgusts me with the left and what they're doing there, instead of being supportive. And when we place our politics or our ideology above what's good for America, it's pretty disgusting. Then second, with Washington, D.C., Trump taking over as far as the police there, and then calling in National Guard. This is why it's so important to understand the Constitution. In the Constitution, it definitely gives ultimate power to Congress. If you study the history of congressional control over Washington, D.C., it kind of fluctuates up and down. But Congress has always, and I won't say always, but almost always retained the ultimate power and authority to decide, even if the local mayor and elected officials pass the sniff test when they pass laws there. So the veto power goes to Congress. And if they want to retract their 1972 law or 74 law, they can do that at any time. Trump does have at least 30 days under the emergency powers in that act to be able to federalize those local police. But he can also the Washington, D.C. National Guard, I think there's like 2,500, maybe it's a little less, they are under his direct control. And he absolutely can do it. And I really am tired of people really not understanding the Constitution when it's very clear. Now, we go over redistricting in Texas. So a lot of kudos to Trump, but I do come down on him, and I think we need to come down when it's appropriate. And I've come down on him on his tariff policy, not the policy, but his constitutional authority to do what he is unilaterally doing. I think it's very dangerous. And I think if the legislative branch was doing their job, they would codify what he is doing now, because I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be real interested to see what Clarence Thomas, how he votes when this gets to the Supreme Court. Does the president have unilateral power to do the tariffs like he's been doing? And I don't think he does. And I don't think any constitutional scholar that really is thoughtful is going to agree with that, because if the left, a president on the Democrat side was trying to do this, I would be screaming just as loud as I am now. And it's very dangerous for him to be doing it, because if the Supreme Court says this is all unconstitutional, it's going to unwind a lot of the things that have happened in the world, and it's going to make us look like a laughingstock. The other problem I have with Trump lately, so we need to be very careful, is talking about these federal mandates on the voting within the states. So ultimately, in Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution, Congress can regulate how we have federal elections within the states. And they've selected a day of the year to do that. You've got to comply with the 14th Amendment and these kind of things. But Trump's recent social media post that talks about that the states must comply with what the federal government was pretty much as directed by the president, we need to call him out when he does stuff like that, because it is not by the letter of the law, although one could say it's by the spirit of the law. It is not the president that decides what the state elections and how they are run. It is up to Congress. Just like in Washington, D.C., the Congress has allowed local government to prevail there. It's time for them to rein it in. The government has allowed the states to mostly regulate how they want to do elections, but they have the ultimate authority to rein that in, at least on the federal elections. And so when Trump tweets like that, I think it does not do him service to those of us who are constitutionalists and swear to uphold and defend the Constitution, not any individual person. And he needs to be more accurate with his terminology, and we can pull up his exact social media post on that. But it is both inaccurate and unconstitutional the way he said it, and we need to kick back when that happens. So that's my rant.
Okay. Ken, Zack.
Go ahead, Zack.
I think that the Monday meeting of all of the heads of state in Washington, D.C., I think Mr. Trump was driving something home. And I think what he was driving home is what's going on in Ukraine is not a war at all. It is a military operation for the purpose of shutting down illegal biolabs on the Russian border and the theft and kidnapping of children in from Russia and taking them into Ukraine. And he got tired of it. So he went in and shut down, I forget how many foreign biolabs, and 2 of them were U.S. biolabs. They were working on aerosol smallpox. And I think what Mr. Trump was doing was proving to the heads of state in Europe exactly why this thing going on in Ukraine has been going on as long as it has, is because they're trying to free all these captive children and shut down the adrenochrome manufacturing, plus the organ harvesting that's going on there, the sex trafficking, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Mr. Lavrov, on the eve of that meeting, made a very telling statement when he said, if this was a war, the temperature in Kyiv would be above 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Because Russia, if they were at war with Ukraine, would have leveled the place by now. And I think he's right. And I think that the wording that's coming out of the what I call the alternative media and the back channel is both pointing to Putin's real reason for being in Ukraine is to shut down these biolabs because they're on his border. And he doesn't want them trying out their aerosol smallpox on the Russian people. And he wants them to, I think he figured that they've kidnapped something like 2,400 Russian children. He wants them back. I think we're all going to find that out pretty soon.
Okay, Ken, you're up.
Well, I'll take a little detour. My rant is going to be to encourage us all to prioritize the people we love and spend time with them. A couple days ago, I had the privilege of being with a high school buddy just after he'd lost his wife, and his wife was a year younger than us in school. She was my senior prom date. We weren't serious daters in high school, but she was a lovely girl and lady. And when he posted that he was bringing her home from the hospital in a kind of a hospice situation, and she may only have days or hours to live, I said, "Should I come out tonight, Rodney, or tomorrow?" And he said, "Might be tonight, because she might not be here tomorrow. So I raced out there, and while I was on my way, she was gone. And he called in tears and said she had passed. And so I continued on out and spent an hour and a half with him and her body and a couple kids that from a previous marriage. But it was just very poignant reminder to me that you never know. I mean, this is a woman a year younger than me that I took to the senior prom many years ago, and she's gone. And she was a beautiful person. And I just wanted to remind us all, including those watching and listening, that you never know whether you're going to have tomorrow, either for yourself or for someone you love. And we just need to take time to treasure every day we have.
Well said.
Well said. Good job, Ken. Yeah, that's great. Everybody.
It's the second situation in the last years. So I had a dear, longtime neighbor. And my wife and I, when she was about to pass, visited her Christmas, 2 Christmases ago, and make a long story short, her husband, who had been with her for days and days and needed a couple hours break, took a few hours, and Gene and I showed up, and while we were there, and Ben told us, she hasn't opened her eyes in days, and she won't even know you're there. And I told him, I said, well, we've lived next to you guys for 20 years. We're coming. And when we got there and spoke our voices, her eyes opened and she perked up, and she was alert for about 30 minutes. She couldn't speak, but she could almost communicate with her eyes. And so we started asking her questions. Can we rub your feet? And that was a yes. And could we sing you some songs? And that was a yes. And could we put a pillow under your legs? And that was a yes. And she was with us and very alert for about 30 minutes. And then she closed her eyes back again. And I held her head, and Jean held her hands, and she died in her arms. And but it was one of the most beautiful experiences of our life, to be with a loved one, to be with a neighbor when they passed.
Yeah.
And it's the first experience. I was there in the room when my dad died 7 years ago, but my sisters and mom and everybody was kind of right around the bedside, and I was kind of a little back. But this was a situation where, the second situation I'm describing now, I was literally holding, Mona was her name. I was literally, dear neighbor, I was literally holding her head, and Jean was holding her hands when she passed. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. So cherish our loved ones around us, because you never know when that opportunity is gone.
Yeah. Always God and family first, above all
That's right.
all the politics
all this in
and
perspective.
everything else. Yeah. Doesn't it? Yeah.
All in perspective.
Beautiful stories, Ken. Thanks for that. We appreciate that.
And then I want to talk about redistricting. That would normally have been my rant, but when we get to that, I will jump in on that big time.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So, any plans? Are they talking about it in Arizona, or nothing going on?
Arizona, about 30 years ago, the voters passed a proposition on the ballot to create a independent redistricting commission, which has done our district drawing for congressional districts and legislative districts for the last 3 decades. And it's a 5-member commission. 2 of the members of the commission are appointed by the highest 2 ranking members of the Republicans in the state legislature. 2 are appointed by the highest ranking Democrats in the legislature. So you end up with almost for sure 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. And then the law stipulates that those 4 have to select a 5th person who chairs the commission. That
wow.
fifth person has to be a registered independent. And as you can imagine, on a 5-member board with 2 votes for the Republicans and 2 votes for the Democrats, it essentially comes down to that fifth person's vote as to drawing the boundaries for the congressional districts and the legislative districts in Arizona. And so that's what we've been doing for the last 30 years. It used to be the legislature drew their own districts and drew the districts for the federal districts. But for the last 30 years, Arizona's been using that independent redistricting. And there's no provision in our law, like apparently Texas decided to do, to at the 5-year point in between the censuses, which are taken every decade. There's no provision in Arizona for that independent redistricting commission to redistrict in the middle of that 10-year process. It's very specific that after the national census is done every decade, then they redistrict the next year, but that holds for the next 10 years.
It's interesting, Ken, too, that went all the way to the Supreme Court because in the Constitution it says, the legislative branch will determine these things, but Congress decided that the Supreme Court decided that the legislature of the states can include any lawmaking body. And so in this case, this is what the Supreme Court decided, because I can't remember who sued because of that independent appointed committee that we have now, but the Supreme Court did say that was still constitutional because the legislature is not bound by their perspective of just being the elected body in the state, but any lawmaking body that has been lawfully appointed to do the same. So I think it's pretty interesting and probably a pretty good example for other states to follow.
Yeah, and I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Well, my question would be, are there guidelines for the independent 5 guys that says how many people constitute a district, or how do they determine that?
Yes, there are specific guidelines that say that what order of priority they are to consider certain characteristics of the districts. And one of them is they're supposed to be as small and geographically compact as possible so that you don't have some line that runs all over the state that makes one district and it intersects 3 or 4 others and not. So there's about 8. I'm not going to remember all of them off the top of my head. But the first one is to maintain communities of interest. So they're not supposed to divide up counties or cities if they can possibly not do so. There's the small and contiguous requirement that they're supposed to kind of keep them together. Communities of interest. There's several others that I can't think of right now. But yes, the language that was changed in the Arizona Constitution to create the Independent Redistricting Commission that the people passed 30 years ago specifies the 8 or 9 criteria that this commission is supposed to use. Now, as you can imagine, with 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and an independent making this decision, it's very important which independent gets picked by the 4 partisans. And 2 of the 3 times, in my opinion, they picked very good people to hold that 5th position, who were truly independent, who weren't hiding behind, something and really favoring one side or the other. The exception to that rule was 5-6 years ago, where the person that got picked to be the independent chair, or the independent and then also the chair, it was later found out that she had changed her voter registration from Democrat just a few years before she applied to be on the commission, and had given heavily to Democrat candidates in the state. And it was pretty clear that she was not as independent. The 2 before her, 15 years ago and 25 years ago, I think those people had done a better job of truly being independent. but the criteria, yes, Paul, is specified as to what they're supposed to use. Equality is equal as possible in population. So they're supposed to, take into account population. They're supposed to, and there's other things. They're not supposed to. They're not. It says right in there that they're not supposed to pack districts, pack all the minorities or pack all the Republicans into one or two districts so that they can create a bunch of Democrat or vice versa leaning districts for the other party or whatever. So, but it's worked out pretty well. I saw Zack kind of shaking his head when I was talking about the person this last time around 6 years ago. I think he was kind of determined that she was not as independent as she really should have been. But is that your recollection, Zack?
Yep. Yeah, there was pretty much a disgusto in the southern part of the state about that with the GOP. I don't think it went anywhere, but we were aware of it, and it was pretty obvious, like you said.
So are those guidelines presented to every state?
No, this is just an Arizona thing.
Okay, so some states might have different guidelines as to how they're going to draw the districts.
Yes. Yeah.
Because obviously,
they must, because listen to this. You've got Newsom in California saying how disgusted he is that Texas is going to do a redesign in the half-year point, 5 years into the decade.
Mm-hmm.
Texas has 38 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives.
Right.
25 Republican and 13 Democrats.
Yeah.
Well, that's 2/3, 1/3, almost 66 to 34%.
Yeah.
Well, Trump won Texas by 56%.
Yeah.
So the proportionality of the House seats going to Republicans or Democrats in Texas is within 9 or 10 percentage points of how the populace of Texas voted in the last presidential election.
Yeah.
So no. California?
Not even close, right?
38% of Californians voted for Trump.
Right.
California has 52 seats in the U.S. Congress, 9 Republicans, 17%. So whatever California is doing, they are already so weighted.
Right.
Gerrymandered already.
Yeah.
They've already gerrymandered California to the point where even though a candidate as controversial as Donald Trump can get almost 40% of the popular vote, but California has gerrymandered their 52 U.S. House of Representatives seats so that Republicans only have 9 of them.
Yeah.
And so it's laughable that Newsom says, well, now California ought to be doing something to counterbalance Texas. When you could really say that Texas might even, and I looked at a couple others. Florida.
Yay!
In Florida, Trump got 56% of the vote.
Yeah.
Republicans have 20 out of 28 seats in the U.S. House. That's 71%.
Yeah.
So Florida's a little maybe gerrymandered on the Republican side.
Yeah.
Illinois, though. In Illinois, Trump got 44% of the vote. And Illinois has gerrymandered their 17 U.S. House seats so that Republicans only have 3 of them.
Yeah.
17%.
And they have that one district in Illinois. I don't know if you saw it. That it looks like a snake. It starts at the bottom and runs up through the top. It's about 3 miles wide, 500 miles long.
Some states are very close. Michigan. Trump got just shy of 50% of the vote in Michigan, 49.7. Harris got 48.3. Michigan has 13 House of Representatives seats. Republicans have 7, Democrats have 6.
Yeah.
So,
That's pretty well right in line. Yeah.
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 Arizona was similar until this last election where we picked up 1 seat that Democrats had. Arizona has 9 House seats. We were 5 Republicans, 4 Democrats. But this last time, one of the key seats that was picked up for the Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives was one of the 9 seats in Arizona. Right now, we're 6 Republicans, 3 Democrats, so 2-1. But the popular vote for president in Arizona was 52% Trump, 47% Harris. So we've got a bit of an advantage, but we've only got 9 seats in Arizona. But when Newsom is talking about how mad he is that Texas is trying to tilt the scale here, and they've already tilted the scale so far in California that it's ridiculous.
Yeah, he should be embarrassed to even say it. Yeah. So
I don't think Massachusetts has any Republicans.
There's 10 or 12 districts. Yes, Jeff, that they've redistricted their state so that there are no Republicans at all. Now, there's a few states where there's no Democrats at all.
Yeah. I think Massachusetts has no Republicans either.
No Republicans, yeah. But we need to understand there is a law that Congress does mandate that congressional seats are not voted at large. In other words, you don't have a statewide vote and pick the top 9, let's say Arizona, running and do that. So Congress has mandated this. And we have to also understand it's called gerrymandering because Elbridge Gerry, who was of the founding generation, was the one who started kind of doing these things. And Patrick Henry commented on it because he was the president of the legislature in Virginia at the time and said, hey, we need to try to keep Madison out. And so they did. They gerrymandered to try to keep James Madison out of Congress in Virginia, and had who ran against him? Not Mason. Anyway, it'll come to me. Who's the president after Madison? Oh man, so I'm going brain dead here. But anyway, fought in the Revolution and these kind of things. The era of good feeling. But he ran against Madison as friends. And he almost beat him, but he didn't. And he was Patrick Henry's kind of guy to go in and try to beat him. So this has been something that's been going on since the founding. So it's nothing new, and these should be fought out in each state. But there is a sense of fairness, though, however, and I think Arizona's probably been one of the ones to set the example of how to do it.
Wasn't
there?
If
you look at the national numbers, I should have started out maybe with the national numbers. Republicans have 220 seats in the House. Democrats 215. Very, very narrow. So that's 50.5% for Republicans, 49.5% for Democrats. The national popular vote went 49.8% for Trump and 48.3% for Harris. So the national popular vote, and not the formal one, but the popular vote, Republicans, Trump won by about 1%, and we have about a 1% advantage in the U.S. House of Representatives.
James Monroe. Madison was the 4th president, so the 5th president was James Monroe, where the Monroe Doctrine came in. So he actually ran against Madison for the congressional seat that Patrick Henry tried to keep Madison out of. Very interesting. But the other interesting fact, when you read about it, they actually traveled together and were friends in doing their stump speeches. And so it was pretty civil the way they did it back then. So just some good fun history there.
So wasn't Arizona supposed to pick up 1 or 2 seats the last time our last census, and that didn't happen?
Yeah, we thought we were going to go maybe to 11, but for sure we'd get to 10.
Yeah.
And when they did the census, we stayed at 9. It was very disappointing that we didn't move up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was, I kind of remember that everybody talking about that. They thought they were going to get an extra seat. And now there's a lot of talk about, in the next census, several states are going to pick up seats, and several states are going to lose seats. California is probably going to lose some seats. So no matter how they draw the lines, they're going to be missing some seats next time. So, because people are moving out of there, definitely. I think people are moving out of Illinois too. And redistricting. I remember when we first, Patty and I first got involved in Arizona in the politics, and we used to we went to the redistricting meetings, right? The first time they had the new commission, and it was actually pretty interesting. Everybody was drawing maps and submitting maps, and it's crazy, right? But one of the things I wanted to mention was, why in the world did they split the town of Sahuarita? Why did they draw a line through the middle of the town of Sahuarita? I'll never figure that out. Did they just want to keep the old LD2 intact, or what? Why would they do that? I mean, that's kind of against their guidelines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the reason there, because they did exactly the opposite up in Yavapai County.
Yeah.
In the previous redistricting 15 years ago, they split Sedona right smack in the middle. Half of Sedona was in one district with Flagstaff, and the other half of Sedona was with the Verde Valley, Cottonwood, and Prescott. And so Yavapai County was kind of discombobulated and whatever. And one of the things that we pushed hard for in Yavapai County 5 or 6 years ago, when they did the latest redistricting, was keep Yavapai County as a whole, and keep the communities with. And now, as fate would have it, when you took the population of Arizona and divided it by 30 legislative districts, it created a population target that was almost identical to the population of Yavapai County. And so whereas for the last 20 or 30 years, Yavapai County kept getting divided in two, when I first served in the Arizona legislature 20 years ago, under a districting map that was 2 times ago, Yavapai County was kind of cut right in the middle. And half of my district was Yavapai, and half of it was Lake Havasu City. My district used to go from the Verde River all the way to the Colorado River. And Yavapai County was cut in 2. We really pushed, Republicans and Democrats, and nonpartisan as well. We pushed the commission when they came and had meetings up in Yavapai. Hey, the target goal for a district in this round of redistricting just about matched Yavapai, so keep us together, and they did that. I have no idea why they kind of split Sahuarita right in the middle.
Yeah, I know the mayor of Sahuarita, Tom. What's Tom's last name? Murphy. Yeah, Tom was really frustrated with it, and I heard they put on a big pitch to keep it all together, but evidently they didn't. They split it up.
But some would argue that if you do end up getting split between 2 districts, now you have twice as many representatives in whatever legislative body.
Yeah.
And so one half of your town is in district 12, and the other one's in district 13.
Yeah.
So now you've got 6 members of the state legislature who are at least thinking about Sahuarita, instead of only 3.
There you go. That's a good point. Yeah. Unfortunately, go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was just going to say, I did some work a couple of elections ago, and the district that I'm in, and I've forgotten the numbers now, but anyway, it goes all the way to New Mexico. It takes in Cochise County and Greenlee and Graham and all that in between there stuff. And you can wear your tires out just on one campaign run.
Yeah, and that's based on population, right?
Yeah, because there isn't much out there.
Counties are so sparse. Yeah. especially Greenlee and Graham. Yeah, not a lot of people living out there. So,
And the other thing you got to be careful of, and we in rural Arizona there was one year where they came up with maps where they it was kind of like the spokes of a wheel, and every district came in and grabbed a portion of Maricopa County, and there was so much population in Maricopa County that if you did that, you could equalize the population in each district pretty evenly, but the majority of all the districts came then from Maricopa County. And we had to fight hard so that they didn't do that. So right now in Arizona, in the 30 districts that make up the state legislature, let me see if I can remember, 19 end up coming from Maricopa County, 18 from Maricopa, about 6 from Pima, and the whole rest of the state gets about 6. But Maricopa and Pinal County dominate.
there you go. So, Ken, did you, in your research that you presented to us, did you look at the state of New York?
No, I did not.
Yeah, just curious.
But I can real quick.
Yeah,
While you're talking about something else.
I'm sure it's gerrymandered pretty severely, but I don't know what the count is between Republicans and Democrats. I would guess there's an imbalance. So what's everybody's opinion about the Trump in Alaska? I know Jeff talked a little bit about that, and some of the mainstream media and some of their nonsense, but I thought actually it went pretty well, and I thought the background and the setting, and it was all set up and planned very well, and it actually presented a pretty good picture to the world itself as a kickoff to getting this war ended. So, what did you guys think? Do you think Putin took advantage of Trump? Trump take advantage of Putin? Nobody took advantage of anybody. They just talked with each other and hashed each other out.
I think Trump did a pretty good job of trolling Putin by having the B-2 and those 4 F-35s fly over just as he got off his airplane.
Yeah, that was good.
And his red carpet was 18 inches wide, and Trump's red carpet was 4 feet wide.
Yeah. Well, he had to have 2 guys walk down it, so right. But yeah, they both looked up, so they saw the planes fly over, so yeah, that was good. And but what do you guys think? You think our president did all right?
You've got to build relationships.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think anybody took advantage of any other person.
I agree. Yeah.
All you want.
Yeah.
But until you have a final deal, you don't have a final deal. And then people were like, well, Trump hosted Putin in Alaska, and well, they would have been complaining if Trump would have gone to Russia. Why did Trump go to Russia? You know, and they're always going to find something.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah, they made a big deal about Trump letting Putin speak first after their meeting, right? Oh, that was.
And look, there's an attempt to try to settle this.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just don't get it.
Yeah,
the Biden administration did nothing except for exacerbate the problem.
Oh, yeah.
And Trump is known as he really is concerned about people's lives.
Yeah, I agree.
And so why not support him? You can say, hey, I would have done it differently, X, Y, or Z, but it makes no sense to me. There's areas, obviously I did earlier, that we can criticize Trump. I don't think this is one of them.
Yeah.
He's trying to create peace there, which is going to do nothing but benefit making America great again and opportunity in the world. So.
Yeah. Did you guys see the picture of that they took in the Oval Office of all of the European leaders sitting around the front of his desk? I thought that was
looked like the teacher and their students. Huh?
It sure did. Yeah, that was very interesting. I hadn't seen that picture before until yesterday, but Yeah, it looked like he was sitting there lecturing all 7 of them on.
Well,
You know,
speaking of Putin in Alaska, did you hear the story that someone on the Soviet intelligence staff, they didn't let Putin go to the bathroom in America. They collected all of his human waste in a special toilet so that they could return with it to Russia.
Yeah.
They collected all of his human waste so that our intelligence,
We couldn't get
would
any
a hold
DNA?
of it and come up with some accusation that he was sick with cancer or who knows what. So
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty interesting. I didn't know that stuff like that went on at that level, but probably does.
That is.
Keep the DNA away from us. Yeah.
I was going to say, before I got involved in the toilet, that
Sorry about that.
that's
Sorry, Paul.
okay. The toilet humor is funny. I spent the last 15 years of my life working, negotiating international contracts, and Jeff has hit the nail on the head. I went to a graduate school, Thunderbird, whose sole mission in the world was to teach Americans how to deal internationally. Because after World War II and the Marshall Plan, American businessmen were going to Europe to try to rebuild it, and they were doing a great job of the business side of it, but a lousy job of being able to work with the Germans and the French and all the Belgians and all that, because our business way of doing business is just hammered, and that's Trump. That's what. But I think it's so great about what Trump is doing. He's a New York real estate developer. His deal is it's $8 million. Take it or leave it. You can't do that with the president of Russia. You can't say, get your troops back over on the other side of the line, or we're going to take your oil. You've got to build up these relationships, and the same people that are down on Trump for what didn't happen during his meeting with Putin are the ones that are out there screaming at ICE saying, we want our criminals. We want criminals. We want illegal aliens in our country. We don't want you big old nasty people to make our laws followed by the people who break into our country. So while you can't give them much credibility, they certainly make a lot of noise. And I think Jeff hit the nail on the head. You can't jump into an international negotiation, especially a war, and say, end it by Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. Good point, Paul. Yeah. So any other subjects anybody want to bring up and talk about?
Don, I just wanted to thank you for sending the video of Victor David Hansen.
Oh, yeah, it was really good, wasn't it?
It was really good. And I think Zack's onto something. I think Zack may have divined right into what's going on over there, and it's not really much a war at all. But Hansen's video, I got to meet him several years ago when I was Secretary of State, and I really am a fan of his. If Americans listened to Victor David Hansen a little more, and Thomas Sowell, and Jonathan Turley, would be ahead of where we're at. But especially Hansen and Sowell, I'm big fans of theirs. Yeah,
Victor Davis Hansen, his the video. I hope you other guys take the time to, if you haven't seen it, take the time to watch it, because he does get into he gets into the negotiations in Ukraine, and he makes some really, really good points. And he's it's interesting too that to me, Ken, that he lives in California, and he's actually a farmer in California, right? He's got a farm out.
He's pretty down to earth. Yeah. When I met him, he was very down to earth.
Yeah, but he is down on California. Let me tell you, he's not happy with it.
Do, is it?
Yeah, not happy with his populace. So, but that video especially is very good. So, yeah, I encourage everybody, if you get a chance, to watch it. But yeah, Zack made some of the points that Victor David Hansen made exactly about what's really going on in the Ukraine, and so I guess
I got your New York numbers when you're ready.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. Let us Fill us in.
Harris got 56% of the vote for president. The Democrats have 73% of the seats in the House of Representatives.
Okay.
19 out of 26.
Okay.
So they've gerrymandered New York.
Pretty good.
Pretty good as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No surprise there. So, yeah, they really, I really hope at least Stefanik can pull off winning the governorship in New York. That would be terrific for the New Yorkers. Maybe some of them don't think so, but I don't know. But and Paul makes such a good point about, these people, they seem to argue for crazy stuff. I mean, that's one of the points Victor Davis Hanson makes. You just can't believe that just because Trump wants to cure crime in D.C., they want crime. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
he made the point.
Yeah.
Whatever he comes out for, they're going to come out for the opposite.
Yeah, no matter what it is. So, yeah, he made that point exactly. So okay, guys, go ahead.
Something else.
Yeah, Zach, go ahead.
Do you remember or did you hear that Putin made a gift to Melania Trump of a historic Romanov ring that was emerald and diamonds?
No, I didn't. I heard she wrote a letter to him, but I didn't hear about the gift.
I was leading to the letter, and then the letter was delivered in Alaska, encouraging him to keep up saving the children.
Yeah.
So she's aware of it.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what the letter said. Yeah. Yeah. So she.
But the ring wasn't mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
But apparently she's a Romanov.
And then then a Russian artist painted a picture of Trump that Putin gave him too, right? A few months ago.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, this was a few months ago, back 2 or 3 months ago, when the first time that Steve, what's his name? Witkoff went to, thanks, Paul. Steve Witkoff went to the first time to meet Putin, and Putin presented him with this artist painting of Trump that he brought back with him. So there's a lot of gifting going on there, which is good. Yeah.
I think the first real indicator was when Putin handed Trump the soccer ball. And he said, okay, boss, the ball is now in your court.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Well,
I think they've been working together all along.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think so. And boy, it'd be sure nice this all comes together. We'll keep our fingers crossed and we'll keep praying. And I appreciate you guys for coming on today. Again, I apologize for not making it last week, but wasn't really feeling too good. So I got everything put back together in the studio. Everything was working good this morning. And so when I turned everything back on this afternoon, everything clicked today. So that's good. It's really good to see all 5 of you, all 5 of us, all 4 of you. And I want to thank our audience for joining us. I'll put this up on the internet tomorrow on Rumble and YouTube, and let you guys know that Paul went to the Tea Party Patriots bus tour this week and got some pictures that I'll put in the video tomorrow too. So got some good pictures of Jenny Beth Martin and the Tea Party Patriots. They're on a tour to push the SAVE Act, which is to keep illegal aliens from voting in our elections. So anyway, thanks guys. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
God bless you guys. Thanks for your
Bless America.
Thanks for your heartwarming stories, Ken. That was 2 beautiful stories, and we will see you all next week on 4 Men in America. Thanks, everybody.
Adios.
Good afternoon.
I'm Jenny Beth Martin with Tea Party Patriots Action. We are the primary sponsors of this wonderful bus tour, and we are working to get Congressman Chip Roy's SAVE Act passed into law. And woo! This act is very simple legislation. It requires proof of citizenship to register to vote. It's a pretty novel concept when you think about it, but over 80% of Americans agree with us. They want to require proof of citizenship to register to vote, and they think that it's only fair and right that only American citizens vote in American elections for the American president, senators, and congressmen. And so what I learned several years ago working on election integrity issues after the 2020 election is that Arizona requires proof of citizenship to register to vote. And to vote in their state and local elections, you must show proof of citizenship. They were sued sometime. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court. I think it went to the Supreme Court in 2012. And the Supreme Court said they must accept the form from the National Voter Registration Act, which we commonly think of as the motor voter law. And that form has a simple checkbox, and you say that you are a citizen, and you swear you are a citizen under penalty of perjury, but there's no proof of citizenship, and there's no easy way to go back and prove it after you've filled the form out. The Supreme Court said Arizona had to accept that form because that's what the law has, and that's a form that the federal government has done. So then Arizona, the solution was that if you're voting for local school board, county commission, I think you call those judges here in Texas, city council, state legislator, governor, lieutenant governor, you have shown proof of citizenship, you get to do that. But if you have not shown proof of citizenship, you still get a ballot for president, senators, and congressmen in the state of Arizona. And I thought that was crazy. And the more I looked into it, the more I began to understand the reason for it is that there is a loophole in the law, and the SAVE Act will clean up that loophole. So we're just trying to simply clean it up and require proof of citizenship. And some people may think, well, why did the Supreme Court do what they did? As a conservative, a constitutional conservative, I'm thankful that the Supreme Court did not make new law out of whole cloth from the bench, and they told Congress to go fix the current law. President Trump has issued an executive order saying that the Election Accountability Commission, is that the EAC has to change the form to require proof of citizenship, and that is very good. If we don't pass this bill or something that has the text of this bill in it, then another president could come in and change it back to what we've been dealing with. So we're just trying to close that up. This bill was introduced by Congressman Chip Roy in the House and Senator Mike Lee in the Senate, and also by the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And it passed the House last Congress, and it passed again this Congress. However, it has not gone to the it's gone to the United States Senate, but the Senate has not taken it up on the floor to do any voting, has not voted for it yet. In order for it to pass in the Senate as a standalone bill, we'd have to pass the filibuster requirement, meaning that 6 or 7 senators would have to vote for the bill. And I think that Democrat senators, I think right now we're the left is so crazy and so entrenched in their partisanship that they will ignore the fact that 80% of Americans want this to be law and would not vote for it. So how are we going to fix that? And why are we doing this bus tour? We're doing the bus tour to try to tell the senators especially, but all congressmen, that we want to see this passed into law. Then there's certain legislation that members of Congress think must pass. And we want to attach this bill to a must-pass piece of legislation. Now, let me unpack that and explain it to you. A lot of you know Congressman Chip Roy, so you may be familiar with what must-pass is. But for those who are not, these are bills that members of Congress often think if we don't pass it, something detrimental is going to happen. Like we will not fund the government and the government will shut down. Now, personally, I'm often in favor of the government shutting down. But
if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better.